What is Malaysia Week? There are many terms associated with this type of a program. Is it an environmental literacy program? An experiential education program? A Week Without Walls program? Biodiversity program? Is it a service learning program? Is it a recreational program? Is it wilderness survival program? Is it summer camp? Is it an environmental issues program? Or is it a cultural diversity program? Is it environmental stewardship? Is it an outdoor education program? Is it an environmental classification program? Is it survival training? Is it sports hobby program? Is it an environmental efficacy program? Is it a leadership training program? Is it an environmental education program? Is it an adventure education program? Is it a science investigations program or a traditional cultures program? Is it a nature appreciation program? Is it a behavioral modification program? Is it recreational therapy? Is it communing with nature? Is it a personal development program? Is it a community living program? Is it a global issues program? Is it school? The answer is yes, it is school at its finest. Malaysia Week is actually a hybrid of all these types of programs. Each site has an adventure component to it, and this year our theme centers around service learning and environmental literacy, which is the big picture, but all sites are uniquely different in their learning outcomes for students. The goals of Malaysia Week remain constant over all sites, and they haven't changed in 31 years. So what are the goals of Malaysia Week? The first goal is to learn a new skill or gain knowledge in an area not ordinarily found in the school curriculum. Increase their knowledge, understanding, enjoyment, and appreciation of Malaysia. Learn to cooperate in a group situation with peers as well as adults. Reinforce skills and content in the existing curriculum. Gain an increased sense of independence and responsibility. And experience the positive aspects of living in a community. FYI, this is a kelong. It's the floating platform that kids do the fishing off of. Plus, our student learning outcomes seem to be uniquely designed for Malaysia Week. Students self-assess based on these student learning outcomes in their portfolios after Malaysia Week. So why is this program so important? Richard Louv said, "Our children are the first generation to be raised without a meaningful contact with the natural world." So how did that happen? Let's first understand the historical context of Western recreational practices. Briefly, and I'm going to read this in the bullet points, 200 years ago, most children spent their days seeking out the nearest wild place to play with little or no restriction or supervision. 50 years later, Herbert Spencer exposed the concept of surplus energy theory, and the idea behind that theory was that the main reason for children's play was just to get rid of surplus energy. This concept created a lasting influence on the design of children's outdoor play environments. Playgrounds were built for surveillance of children, ease of maintenance, and for adults to have a break from children rather than stimulate the children themselves. These playing spaces were characterized by efficient, safe, asphalt-type spaces, and they lent themselves to more sports-oriented activities rather than interaction with nature. So you had the asphalt, basketball courts, hopscotch, etc. So most adults grew up in similar but improved safety features, outdoor playing environments, and we ourselves have generally perpetuated this design in our schools and our playgrounds. Urbanization has further contributed to the demise of natural play spaces. So compounding the situation is the diminishing time that children have available to play. And also high-quality nature programming has substituted children's authentic connection with the natural world. Children's enrichment programs like Art Attack, Barney, Sesame Street, they get kids actively involved on the spot in the moment. Nature programming cannot achieve those same results. All these factors have resulted in children losing their understanding that nature exists in their own backyards and neighborhoods, and this has had an impact on their knowledge and appreciation of nature. Research is clearly substantiating that an affinity to and love of nature along with a positive environmental ethic, grow out of a child's regular contact with and play in the natural world. Schools got this message years ago, and they tried to enhance children's play spaces, emphasizing environmental education and providing outdoor education experiences in a wide variety of ways in programs just like Malaysia Week. So do programs like Malaysia Week actually work? To a degree, the answer lies in this question by Robert Michael Pyle. What is the extinction of a condor to a child when they have never seen a wren? Howard Gardner thought that this was so important that he actually added an eighth intelligence to his multiple intelligences theories, nature smart. It's a different generation now and a different set of challenges and a unique set of expectations, interests, and values that are ours, not theirs. So should we impose our values and experiences on students? Yes. Our mothers were right when they told us, go out and play. That's what the body of research actually says. Research indicates that direct exposure to nature is essential for healthy development and for the physical and emotional health of children and adults. There's a link between obesity, attention disorders, and depression, and the issue of children not having a meaningful contact with the environment is no longer considered unfortunate. It's considered unacceptable. One of the problems is that we've addressed these issues through an adult's perspective rather than a child's. Children are naturally curious. They have a unique way of exploring and discovering learning. We adults have tried to impart knowledge and responsibility before children have had the chance to develop a caring relationship with the environment. We've tried to teach nature rather than let nature be the teacher. Research supports getting children outdoors again and letting nature speak for itself. So is it really all we need to do? Just immerse them in nature? Can it actually be that simple? No, it's not simple at all. Nature now competes with their increasingly high-tech lives. If adventure could be experienced through current technology, it would be easier. But it still wouldn't be enough. One way is to ensure we design our outdoor experiences to be unique with an impact, quite unlike anything they've ever done before. What makes the greatest impact? Novel experiences, discovery, and yes, risk. Our Malaysia Week sites try to have that novel experience approach that appeals to students, although it can scare them as well. We recognize that every student is not ready to be pushed too far beyond their comfort zone into the deep dark jungle or wide blue sea, but we also know that it's that very push that allows growth to take place. We also know that international school students and parents are generally unfamiliar with the turf in a country not on their own, with a language, food, and weather that can often be very different from what they're used to. So is this really the best time and place to instill an environmental ethic? Well, what does the research say about this? Research supports increasing knowledge and awareness does not necessarily increase stewardship or action for the environment. It's the hands-on experience at the critical time, not systematic knowledge, that's what counts in the making of a naturalist. So is this a critical time? Well, yes, it is. If we as adults look back and try to trace the origins of our own values, passions, and ethics, we'll find that it's usually a single event, experience, or exposure that provided that spark. Often the planned, organized experiences are not the ones that necessarily inspire us. They generally provide the framework for us to pursue what inspires us. We call these experiences school. It's what we do every day. Part of good schooling is to know when to allow our children to be untutored savages for a while, to not expect them to know names or anatomical detail, to allow them to spend long stretches of time just searching and dreaming, to allow them to lay on the beach and gaze at the stars without knowing the constellations and their relationships with each other, to allow them to not necessarily know the answer, but to help them formulate the question. Malaysia Week fits in perfectly with our school's vision for students. To walk in a harmonious environment where care follows closely behind. Learning is stimulated, curiosity is sparked, vision is cultivated, and action is inspired. That's what Malaysia Week is.